Greetings and salutations, my friends. Welcome to a new Science News. And hi, I'm Dave Plus, and I do teach science. And I'm here today to talk to you about some stories that have come out of the research in the last week. And one of the first stories we're going to be talking, the first story we're going to talk to you about today is a connection between herpes and Alzheimer's. And let's just look at this. So, herpes virus might drive Alzheimer's pathology. This is from the University of Pittsburgh. University of Pittsburgh researchers uncovered a surprising link between Alzheimer's disease and herpes simplex virus 1, HSV1, suggesting that viral infections may play a role in the disease. And the role we're looking at is specific. Our study challenges the conventional view of tau as solely harmful, showing it may act initially as part of the brain's immune defense, said senior author Or Shamesh, PhD, assistant professor in the Department of Ophthalmology at Pitt. And so, now tau. What's a tau, Dave? A tau, that's tau proteins. And it would appear that tau proteins are something that connects with Alzheimer's. So people who have Alzheimer's have a huge buildup of tau proteins in their brain. But this study shows that the tau proteins may not be showing up because of the pathology of Alzheimer's, but rather to protect the brain at first. So it's something that's good in moderation, but too much tau is bad. And this connects to me very strongly. I've lost someone I love to dementia, and frankly, I think you're worried, is this a ticking time bomb within yourself? So anyone who's doing research in this area, God's work, and I love you so much. Thank you for doing this work, people at Pitt. And let's talk a little bit more aging. And we're going to talk about brain aging. And what is a key thing in the aging of the brain? It would appear that it is connected to metabolism, or to put it a different way, we got a spot in the brain that shows aging or shows damage. And let me give you a little bit more detail. So this is from the Allen Institute. Scientists have identified the molecular changes that occur in the brains of aging mice and located a hotspot where much of the damage is centralized. The cells in the area are also connected with metabolism. Okay, so this is suggesting a connection between diet and brain health. Specifically, we've got this idea of inflammation and neuron protection in aging brains. Genes associated with inflammation increased in activity, while those related to neuronal structure and function decreased. And the aging hotspot was in the area called the hypothalamus. So, what's the takeaway here? Inflammation. Inflammation is a huge problem for our health, and it seems to show up over and over again as a root cause for a range of problems. So, let's look into an anti-inflammatory diet and anti-inflammatory activities. And I'll just give you a couple of little things, and I think you probably know what I'm going to say. Exercise, whole foods, cut down on the sugar, and drink less alcohol. So these are things that are inflammatory. And also, stay off the internet, because it's inflammatory too. I'm kidding. That's a different kind of inflammatory. Although maybe it raises your blood pressure, which is an inflammatory thing. But let me move on to the next thing. And the next thing I want to talk to you about is going to be more brain structure stuff. Brain structure, and in this case, we're going to be looking specifically at brain structure differences and how they're associated with substance use. Okay? And again, family members, myself even, have struggled with substance abuse issues. It's a thing, it's a challenge, and for those of us who are in that boat, I think you might know the feeling. It's like you think there's something wrong with you. And I'm not trying to say there's something wrong with you, but this research points out that some people have a predisposition to these problems. I think it's probably a good idea to be aware of that. And let's dig into a little bit more detail on this. So, this was from the National Institute of Health, which I believe is in England, and it was a study of nearly 10,000 adolescents, and it identified distinct differences in the brain structures of those who used substances before the age of 15 compared to those who did not. Now, many of these structural brain differences appeared to exist in childhood before any substance use. Okay? So if it's a chicken or the egg kind of thing, this suggests that they may play a role in the risk of substance use initiation later in life, in tandem with genetic, environmental, and other neurological factors, just to make it a little bit more complicated for you, because life is complicated. So this adds to some of the emerging evidence that an individual's brain structure, alongside their unique genetics, environmental exposures, and interactions among these factors, may impact their level of risk and resilience for substance use and addiction, said Nora Volkow, MD, director of the NIDA. Understanding the complex interplay between the factors that contribute and that protect against drug use is crucial for informing effective prevention interventions and providing support for those who may be most vulnerable. And that's a bit of a word salad, but it's also meaningful. I shouldn't have called it a word salad. No, it's really basically saying something, I think this is really important, is that we can actually look at nipping the problem in the bud, potentially, okay? And speaking of nipping the problem in the bud, what are some other problems that might arise in our lives? And what's this just in? Singles are less happy than couples later in life. Tell that to the comedians, right? Take my wife, please. No. I want my wife, please. She's helping me out a lot on an emotional level. So let's look at what this is all about. This was something that came from the Association for Psychological Science. New research finds that lifelong singles have lower life satisfaction scores compared to those in relationships. So basically, studies show that being in a relationship makes you happier. When there are differences, they might especially be important in elderly people who face more health issues and financial issues, said Julia Stern, one of the lead authors and senior researcher at the University of Bremen in Germany. They need more help, and the help is usually the partner. So that kind of makes a lot of sense. Why is it that we're less happy in life when we're alone? Is because we need someone to help us, and as we get older, we struggle more, and we need that support more. So let's just remember that. Being with other people makes us happy. And you know what also makes us happy? Batteries that don't catch on fire. And researchers in Korea have come up with something pretty cool. They've come up with a triple layer battery resistant to fire and explosion, and that's good. Now I don't have to worry about e-bikes blowing up on the subway. I just have to worry about them crashing into me on the sidewalk. I'm joking a little bit, but let's look in a little bit more detail on this. So a team has developed a stable, efficient, polymer-based solid electrolyte applicable to smartphones, EVs, and energy storage. And that last bit is really important. Okay, and oh, my bad. This is from the DGIST, the Diggist, or the Daegu Gyenbook Institute of Science and Technology. And I apologize for butchering that name. I'm sure I did. But you can see this research is coming from all around the world. Often we're told that companies innovate, but most of the innovation that I'm seeing is actually done by universities and research institutes. And let's just remember that. And let's be thankful for everyone doing this good work. Because think about it. Let's just look at this a little bit bigger. The experiment showed that the battery developed by the research team retained about 87.9% of its performance after 1,000 charging and discharging cycles, better than the 70 to 80% of traditional batteries. And also, and this is a big one, it can extinguish itself in a fire. So these batteries can put themselves out. How cool is that? All right. So that brings us to the end of New Science News, cool and interesting stories that I found. And you might think, gee, Dave, it seems like they all come from one source. They do. They all come from the website Science Daily that shares the press releases from the different institutes that are sharing their research. And I'm sharing their research with you today, and thanks for letting me share. So I hope you had a great day. I hope you enjoyed New Science News, and I will see you in about a week with more New Science News. Peace!